Understand something. Plain and simple. To me, Abigail was a delicious poison. An intoxicating, overwhelming poison. Yowie wowie! That felt good!
We are back. And we have a simple question this week that we will hopefully answer. What's next for Windham? Well, there's been a lot going on with Windham, so we'll talk about that today. So, as always, obviously, there's no Abby's window without Abby. So, Abby, what's up?
What's up?
How are you feeling, first off?
I'm doing okay. You know,
Good.
I still feel kind of like an idiot, but
Like I said,
the nurses do dumb shit sometimes.
happens to the best of us. It's all good. It's all good. Just know that all of us are thinking about you and, wishing you well and hoping you feel better. That's what's important. So
I've been a lot more careful with my pain medication since Friday.
good.
So that I don't make that mistake again.
Right. You can't make that mistake again.
No.
Not anymore. Okay. Let me shout out some folks in the chat real quick and we'll get started because there's a lot to talk about. Honestly, I mean, there's a lot to talk about. Jen Carter, James Grant, Dalton Riley, Big Dan, Tazzy. What's up, Tazzy? Robert Morris. That's all the people. Odin's Child. Jesse Callan, Callan Corner. I feel like every time we get through kind of the intro and everything, I start to read names, and then all of a sudden we get an influx of people. Tony, what's up, Tony? So yeah, let's get into it. So obviously, um, the big news that's happened since we were last on. Jason Peace, what's up? Um, the big news is that now Wyndham is free.
Mm-hmm.
The 90-day clause is no longer hanging over his head
Mm-hmm.
now. So just give me your sentiments about his being free at the moment, and kind of your thoughts on that freedom, because obviously, he's no longer affiliated with WWE. So just tell
That
me
was like the longest 90 days ever. That felt like a really long 90 days. It really did.
yeah,
Almost felt like we were serving a prison sentence and now we're free. Um, I'm sure he's happy
yes,
to be able to do what he wants to do. And obviously, we've seen some little teasers, and he was spending some time in La La Land, as I call it, with
yeah. Well,
the crazy people. So, yeah,
shut up. This is a picture of him at the Warner Brothers Studios, Gate 4, with
yeah.
Jason. And
Just don't stay out there too long, or you'll turn into one of them.
yeah, we can't have it.
Don't stay in La La Land too long.
EJ Movement, Erased Your Mind is here too. So, all right. Since you brought up La La Land, we got to go there. So, there's been speculation that Wyndham has been out there, not because he was shooting something, for a potential return necessarily, but he was out there in pitch meetings and meeting with some various people in Hollywood. So, Jodie, what do you make of that? Because obviously that's something we had brought up before, but what do you make of that?
Well, it's something that he's, very slyly hinted at before on Twitter, and mentioning different directors, and think he responded on a tweet from the guy who did the host. So he's been hinting at some things about that before, and I think that would be a really awesome way to tell his story the way that he wants to. And I think it was a natural progression. Pretty much for every fan is like, oh man, we want to see a movie about this. Well, maybe now that's what he's planning on doing. I don't know. I don't know what he was doing out there in La La Land.
Either way,
Whether he was making a movie or something, that made us very excited.
you broke up.
That's what I'm going with.
Okay, you're back. You're back. Yeah, selfishly, I want to see the guy in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just selfishly, I want to see him in a movie. Because I think it'd be freaking awesome to see him do. James Chadwick has joined us, and I just want to stop real quick and say condolences to Erase Your Mind. Our friend formerly known as Butter Spark, saying that he found out about his grandmother's passing earlier today. So thoughts of you and your family. Uh-oh. There you go. You went out for a second, but you're back now.
I did?
Yeah, just for a brief second. It wasn't at all. So
blame the internet at work.
That's what we'll do. All right. So another person that has been very active recently is our friend Kyle Scarborough, and he's put out a lot of stuff, including a uh, an original concept of the Fiend.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I mean, he teased that, and I was pissed because I was so happy at first because I was like, yeah, I went through Twitter, I got all of these tweets, I'm happy, and just wait until I tweet out the next thing. I'm like, yeah, you guys,
Kyle's good at that.
it's all good. But let's talk about this one. So, one of the first ones that we saw was the artwork for Alexa.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that,
Mm-hmm.
which creeped us the heck out. I think that came out on Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
where he was saying, fun fact, during the beginning of Miss Bliss's run with the Fiend, I was asked to mock up a concept art for a potential mask makeup combo. That mask is the thing of nightmares, especially Joe's nightmares. So Cheese Whiz, what's up? So yeah, I mean, what do you think about that concept art? And then we'll go with the next one there. But what do you think about that art and the fact that there's a his carved in the head?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was pretty interesting. I can neither confirm or deny that I had already seen those. But I really like the one with the makeup. It was almost kind of tribal a little bit. And I really liked that one. I thought that would have suited her really well. But Kyle does great work. There's a reason why I've let him put, several tattoos on my body now. So
there you go. Alexa
with another one coming up in April.
According to Wikipedia, a gamer is a person who plays especially video games,
it's been a while,
tabletop role-playing games, and skill-based card games, and who plays
Alexa,
for usually long periods.
Shut down. Gracias. This gamer 0809. I'm not gonna say the first name anymore. Dang it. So you're going back in April?
Mm-hmm. I am going back to spend some time in Kyle's studio in April on my birthday, actually.
Good birthday.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good birthday present. I always chuckle when I read out this name, but Weed Whacking Willie says Joe Gacy on NXT has Wyatt vibes. Have you seen him? I like Joe Gacy. I'm digging it. I don't know if Jodie's had a chance to see it because she's just had a few things going on in her life recently. But have you had a chance to see Joe Gacy?
Yeah. That's not Wyatt vibes. That is a carbon copy of Bray Wyatt.
So control C, control V kind of situation.
100%. That's a complete
Hey.
He's doing a good job with it, but as a Wyatt fan, it bothers me a little bit.
Because you think
it literally is a carbon copy of Cult Leader Bray.
You think it's just way too much.
Yeah, it's too similar to me.
Gotcha. Okay. London Ask You Hit Row member. Don't worry about it. The fact that you're here, we appreciate it. So
I think Tazzy's laughing at me because I can't talk right.
Either that or he's laughing at me in my latest episode with my technology over here. He might be laughing at both of us, honestly, at this point.
Yeah, so on Friday, just so you guys know why I can't talk normally, apparently when I fell asleep, I bit my tongue. So my tongue is still really swollen from Friday. So it feels like I have to talk like with my mouth full, so I can't talk normally. So sorry. He's laughing at both of us. Okay.
Sean Suslowitz. Shenanowitz in the house. What's up, Sean? Yeah. You said he was laughing at both of us. Big Dan saying Jeff Jody thinks Gacy is the Diet Coke of Wyatt clones. Just 1 calorie, not quite Wyatt enough.
Nobody is quite like Wyatt.
So basically,
doesn't matter how many Diet Coke Zeros, whatever you come out with, it's not going to be Coke.
That's right. So basically, what you're saying is he's Wyatt Zero at the moment.
Yeah.
Basically same look and feel, but not the taste.
Correct.
Just and there never will be. So, yeah. I think if he, as long as he kind of does his own thing with it, I'm good. But if we start seeing way more similarities, then yeah, that might not be. So I'm going to go out of order here, and I'm going to put up the next one because this I absolutely loved. And this is the image of Huskus. So essentially, Kyle here. Fun fact, WWE wanted to bring the Funhouse alive, but Windham would only do it if he played the characters himself. Only one was mocked up, and this would have been the concept for Firefly Funhouse Huskus. It was hinted, but ultimately shelved. And I want to leave that on for a minute because, wow. Give me your thoughts on this one, Jody. Ask you since this came out.
I'm bummed that we never got to see it come to life. But I totally get why, Windham said that, that he would only play them himself because he was probably one of the only people that would have been able to do him justice. So.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. The fact, I wish we would have gotten all the rest of the puppets.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can you imagine Ramblin'?
Don't tease me.
Abigail, Abby, Wit.
Yep.
Oh my God, that would have been tremendous. But I mean, the detail. Obviously, we know Kyle.
He just posted another one, Mr. Kyle Scarborough.
Like while we've been on.
Yeah.
Of course he did.
The 2-hour deadline burnt Fiend concept.
Oh boy.
Oh boy is right. That's pretty awesome.
Let me see if I can find it. So
that's pretty awesome looking.
So folks, this is like we're live, pal, as they say.
There it is. Look how beautiful that is.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. That is truly amazing.
I might want one of those. I might have to send him a message and say, "Hey, I want one of those."
Good grief. Can you put that up one more time? I just want to. That is tremendous. So while we're on here talking about all this artwork, news as we go. Wow. That is awesome.
I just messaged him and I said, I want one of those.
Oh goodness. I know. It's like at this point it's a collector's item.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like it's
yeah.
It really is at this point. So Sean is going back saying I found my next ink piece. It was right next to the other one. That's freaking that's awesome. That's so awesome. And shout out to everyone that's come in since we started. Like I said, I apologize if we don't get your names, but I try to shout people out in the beginning. But I'll Got to get you as we go. Dalton Riley saying gave off Freddy Krueger vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the detail in that again is just tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
So now that I'm all nice and discombobulated, thanks, pal. I appreciate that. Like now, I just want to go stare at it for hours. So then we got this again, and it's for the Cult of Windham podcast that was supposed to happen,
Mm-hmm.
and just some great fun artwork here. What again? The idea of there being a Cult of Windham podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Just tell me your excitement level for something like that.
Oh, I mean, your excitement level automatically goes through the roof. Anytime that you have Bray on a show or Windham on a show, that's still really weird. Anytime you have him on a show and anytime he opens his mouth, everybody is just listening intently. So the concept of him and Jesse, who we've had on our show before, doing a show together, knowing that they're good friends, like it just, you couldn't ask for much more than that, except, Wyndham coming on our show.
And I got it. Well, yeah. Yes. I got to shout out Tazzy real quick because Tazzy sent me the melted Fiend picture. So we already have it. So it's good to have friends in high places. I'll say. Yeah, I mean, obviously, selfishly, we want him on this show.
Right.
Here's that again for those of you who didn't get a chance to see it. Whoa, let's see. Annette Morris, thank you for joining us. London Askew, thank you for the very kind donation, saying, hope everyone is having a good day. Bray Wyatt is so smart, cool, and I just can't wait to see him wrestling again. Well, you're among similar-minded, like-minded individuals here because we all feel the same way. So yeah, thank you for that. But wow. So then we got to get to the other part of this because there was a report that came out that said some things. Let's just go ahead and put it up because I want to talk about this. This is another part of that Wyndham said what. But basically, it was reported by Ringside News, and a lot of people feel a certain way about Ringside News. I get it. They said that internal opinion that Bray Wyatt deserved to be fired by WWE, to which Wyndham very astutely tweets out an eye roll gif from The Rock, those infamous things, and then he tweets the following: now that we have Johnny and Bruce's opinion, I would like to share mine soon. Hashtag Cult of Wyndham.
Please do.
Please do. Now, for those who, yes, that I was just about to say that erased your mind. For those of you like, who the heck is he talking about? Johnny and Bruce. Johnny Ace, a.k.a. John Laurinaitis, and Bruce Pritchard. Now, people have a lot of opinions on those two plus Kevin Dunn if you throw them into the mix. But, Jody, my question is, we've rarely seen him in this spot where he kind of has the ability to go free and say whatever he wants to say. I think when it comes to how he's treated backstage, I think he loves the business too much to do those things when he was under contract with WWE, but I'm pretty sure he could have all the time because of how they booked him. When you saw that, what was your initial reaction to him saying, "Now it's time for me to share my mind soon"?
I mean, you're ultimately thinking about, if this Cult of Wyndham podcast is going to come out, is that how he's going to tell his side of the story? And if you read that news article, basically they said that he deserved to get fired because he became difficult to work with. And, we knew that all along, that he had kept that character really close to his heart. And, there were things about that character and the way that he was used that he wasn't going to budge on. And I don't fault him for that at all. And I don't think that's a reason that he should have gotten fired or let go or released or whatever, however you want to call it. But someone holding on to their character and their creation and something that they created shouldn't be something that they should be penalized for. I don't know how deep into it he's going to get, because he is a very nice person, and I don't know how much he's going to throw them under the bus. He may sugarcoat it a little bit in a nice way, you know what I mean, because he is a nice person, but I don't know. I think everybody wants to hear his side of the story, because there's been a lot of speculation on, was it WWE's decision, some of the decisions that were made and how he was booked and how he felt about those calls that they made and matches that they put him in and results of matches that they put him in. It would definitely be nice to hear his side of that. And we're definitely all here for it, wherever he wants to let that loose.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I want him to rip into him. Like, I really do want him to rip into him, and not necessarily rip into him just for the sake of it, like we've seen other people do, but rip into him in terms of peel back the layers of the onion and let us, like, what led to your frustrations, because we know that there were frustrations, and there had to be things before, during, and after the whole thing with Goldberg. So I want to hear, like, everything leading up to that, when that happened, when the final decision was made to put Goldberg over, like, how was that discussed? And I want to hear about the latter stages of the Fiend character and what we saw at the end of his run. There, I want him to just rip into it. I want to hear what I know to be the case, and that is, they just didn't know what to do with me, and they just didn't get it. That's what
or Goldberg was a dipshit and refused to lose.
And that could also be another thing. And I'd love to hear it like that. I'd love to hear it that way, because for a lot of people who don't know, I mean, yeah, a lot of times it comes down to those in charge who write the storylines and decide the outcomes. But in some cases, wrestlers do have power to say whether they go over or they don't. And could it
certain ones?
Right. Right. So could it be a case where they said, hey, we're going to put the Fiend over here, and what is called in the business is vetoing it? Did Goldberg veto it and say, no, I need to go over because it makes more sense for my character, or whatever the case may be? You never know what the plans were in the beginning, and we won't know that until someone comes out and says it. And I think that Windham is the one that comes out and says it. So let's break down. I want to put this back up there too, because it's not much that he said, but it's certain words and everything. So obviously he's saying, now that we have Johnny and Bruce's opinion, at first, and I don't know, because the Firefly Funhouse match, from everything that was reported, Bruce's hands were all over that.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, he got it. I wonder what happened. Like, what stopped him from being able to get it all of a sudden?
I don't know. I think there's probably a lot of things involved. We don't know how much Pritchard had his hands over the Funhouse match, and that was a very different time in the world of wrestling. There were still no crowds, and it's a lot easier to do that kind of character with no crowds. Maybe once they started getting people back in the building and actually crowds in the building, that people started to see things a little differently. And maybe that kind of character just lends itself to TV more than it does to live crowds.
Right. See, wrestling saying it wasn't Shane McMahon, the one that produced. I could be wrong. I know that I think Shane was a part of it. I also read that Bruce was, but if I'm wrong, please correct me because I don't want to give out incorrect information. So just let me know. Okay. Tazzy's saying the same thing too. I mean, it was a different time. And I just feel like they used a lot of that time though to kind of ride his coattail.
Mm-hmm. He carried that company through the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Because, like I said, that kind of character lends itself to doing fun things on television without people in the building, like you do with Halloween Havoc and cinematic matches. And Windham pretty much carried that company through the pandemic because he was about the only person that really knew how to do a good cinematic match.
Yeah, I mean, he created.
That's not taking anything away from, the match that Taker had with AJ. That was fantastic too. But those, the matches that I remember the most during that time where there were no crowds, every single one of them were Bray matches. You remember the Swamp match. You remember the Firefly Funhouse match and all of the other things that he was able to do through the pandemic to keep everybody entertained. And he was about the only person that did things the way he did. And I think he had a lot to do with that because he held on to that creation that he created so tightly.
Do you think even if we don't get like a full-fledged cult of Windham, do you think that's how he chooses to tell his story? Like, just even if it's a 5-part series, would you be down with that?
Mm-hmm. He's going to tell his story exactly the way that he wants to. It's going to be on the show that he wants it to be on. He's going to say exactly the things that he wants to say and exactly the way that he wants to say them. And he really hasn't had that opportunity before to say exactly what's on his mind and say it the way that he wants to say it without worrying about, is he going to get in trouble with his boss or whatever. Right now, he doesn't have a boss. He is his own boss, and he can say whatever he wants, however he wants to say it, wherever he wants to say it, whenever he wants to say it. And I definitely think he's going to take that opportunity.
And again, shameless plug. We'd love for it to be here. C Wrestling says Bray Wyatt's biggest problem was wrestling. In wrestling, you have to lose eventually. Your character can't always be top. The focus is the nature of the beast. Hollywood would be much better. I want to get your immediate thoughts to that because, we showed the picture of him in Hollywood. The picture out there floating around with him and JoJo and some execs and pitch runners and everything. What do you think about him saying, you know what? I want to hang up the boots. I want to be done taking bumps, traveling 200 and something nights or 200 and something days out of the year. I want to do this Hollywood thing. It's worked out well for Cena, Batista, and The Rock. I think I got a shot at this thing. What do you think if he does that?
If that's what he wants to do, you know, we're all going to support him behind that no matter what he chooses to do. I think personally, he's far too good of a wrestler to hang up the boots. I think he should go somewhere else. That doesn't mean he can't take time to make a movie or a mini series or something. I just think he's far too good of a wrestler to completely hang up the boots.
So
I think the wrestling universe would be shafted.
So you'd be okay if he did the part-time thing where he made movies, but he was still connected to the business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think I said this last night when we were doing our Halloween stuff, but I truly want to see him as a horror movie icon.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has the potential and the capability of being like a Kane Hodder or Derek Mears that play these iconic roles of Jason, and you think about Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. I think he could be that type of an icon when it comes to horror. Do you kind of see the same trajectory if he were to put the time into that?
Mm-hmm. They'd have to come up with an entirely new villain for him because you can't put him in the role of Freddy or Jason or Michael Myers. You have to come up with a brand new serial killer.
Yeah, which let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. RG2 says, as a patient man, I've never been this impatient in my entire life to see what he has to offer, where he has full control of creativity. Shout out to Kyle and Jason and Tom Savini. Yeah, I mean, I think we're about to see something special. Weed Whacking Willie says, Rampage is live on Friday. Could it be? Let's talk about that real quick. Do you think he's in a rush to make something happen with wrestling? Do you think he's kind of taking all these meetings and saying, you know what, let me play my options real quick?
I would like to think that. I don't think he's in a rush to do anything. He's probably exploring all of his options, whether that's wrestling, not wrestling, movies, TV, writing a book. I don't know. I think he is hopefully exploring all of his options and not rushing into anything because you don't want to. And I've said this about the world of healthcare too. If I were to ever want to go to another job, I wouldn't leave this job first. Like, you don't want to be in that position where you're like, crap, I don't have a job. I need to make money. And then you're kind of forced to take the first thing that comes up at you because you don't know if you'll get another opportunity. So I think that's kind of the position that he's in right now, that he can take his time. He can be picky about where he wants to go. He doesn't have to rush into it. He can figure out where the right place is for him and do it the way he wants to. So
yeah, we're gonna support him no matter what.
Yeah.
We're gonna. Big Dan said something that I would love to see, but I'd love to see him as his own thing. But Big Dan says, Jody, I think Bray's dream role would be Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre reimagined. I would love to see him as Leatherface. I really. But I want to see something that is created just specifically for him that's kind of related to the story that he was telling in wrestling.
Yeah.
how would you feel about, basically a brand new, in addition to the horror movie icons that we have, you've got Freddy, you've got Jason, you've got Michael Myers, the list goes on, and then whatever this could be.
And then you've got him.
Him.
Yeah, I would love that.
How fast?
I'd like to, I'd like to see him do a little bit of both. I'd like to still see him wrestle, with a company that's going to use him appropriately. And I'd love to see him in a movie or a TV show or something, some kind of mini series, a Man in the Woods movie.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. And you just call him the Man in the Woods.
Right.
Or the Man. I mean, so, something. You could call him the Man, and that would be like taking a shot. But,
No.
I'm petty, so I can be petty sometimes. But it's all good. So, my goodness. James Chadwick saying he should do what's best for him and his family. Exactly right. Exactly right. Melinda Ford, what's up, Melinda?
And that's why I don't think he's rushing.
Right.
I think that's why he's taking his time and really thinking about what he wants to do and where he wants to go and what he wants to do next.
When it's all said and done, do you think that we eventually see him as a big, the ceiling for him in Hollywood, I think sky's the limit, but I want to get your take on what you think we could see from him in Hollywood and how big you think it could be.
I mean, if you go down the route of horror movies, the sky is the limit. I mean, he can come out and play any one of his characters. He could create something brand new. He's got such a creative mind, and I think he could, he's very adaptable in terms of what he can do. So I do think, the sky's the limit for him when it comes to movies and Hollywood. Just stay, I just hope that he doesn't get too caught up in it and stays grounded. And yeah, that would be my only concern with him going to Hollywood. While I don't think I don't believe him to be that kind of person, but Hollywood has a way of getting people caught up in things that they don't need to be caught up in, and making people very disconnected from other people, and they kind of live in their own bubble. And while I don't think that he would ever do something like that, just make sure that you're taking time to stay grounded and don't spend too much time out there.
Yeah, Hollywood has a way of eating people, and that too. So chew you up and spit you out, and
yeah,
it's not as glamorous as a lot of people try to make it out to be. Sure. So, I want to go back to the question because we got a lot of people talking about this, and we had this as one of our sell or no sell topics on yesterday. But the idea that let's say that he ends up going back to wrestling. Let's give him 6 months. Let's say he ends up in AEW in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just go ahead and say it. Personally, is that where you want him? And I guess the other part of that question is, do you think that roster is too bloated to give him adequate time?
I don't know. I don't think it's too bloated to give him adequate time, because I do think that's something that AEW does well. I think they rotate their roster well so that everybody does get time. It just may not seem like a lot of time in between times, if that makes sense, because they're rotating their roster out. And I think that is something that they do very well. We haven't really seen AEW do a lot of dark characters. They're kind of just now starting to with Malachi Black, and it's not something that I feel like is their prized possession. It's not something that it's not a highlight for them. So if he were to go there with that kind of fiend-ish dark character, I don't think I don't feel like the dark character would sell very well. I think it would to a certain extent because he's Windham and his fans are going to follow him everywhere. But AEW just doesn't seem to really enjoy the supernatural dark stuff. Doesn't mean they can't ever get there. It just means that right now, from what I've seen from them, they focus more on the athleticism and the physicality of wrestling more than, storylines and supernatural things and, things like that. And so my ideal situation, like we've talked about before, was for him to go to Impact. And then since Impact had that collaboration with AEW, that he could kind of go back and forth, but now they don't have that. So I don't know. I don't know where the best place for him is right now. Obviously Ring of Honor's not around anymore. They're going to be completely redoing all of their roster, and I don't know. I think Impact on their own, while they're a fantastic show, and I think they would do a lot of justice with the kind of character that he may want to bring, without them being kind of hand in hand with AEW, I don't know that they're quite big enough for him yet. Doesn't mean they won't get there. But now that they don't have that partnership anymore, I think Impact's going to have a little bit harder of a hill to climb.
Yeah, so XFL 2023, basically it was announced right before Bound for Glory that the partnership between those two companies had run its course. Now I will say that Impact is working with New Japan still. They're still working with NWA. So there's still other things there, but just not that tie into AEW as it was. So there's that. Yeah, I mean, I think you bring up some valid points, especially with the AEW stuff, because again, I mean, we just saw Abaddon for the first time in a long time, unless you really watch their stuff on YouTube, which I know most people don't get a chance to because there's so much other stuff on television that they don't get the chance to watch some of their stuff on YouTube as much. So, I get it. Like, honestly, I'd love to see him show up, like you said, in Impact. I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and admit it. I'm selfish. I want to be selfish. I want him in Impact, but it's up to him and what makes the most sense for him. It'd be really cool if he did something similar to the Fiend, called it something else, and toured all the indies and did a lot of the smaller promotions, did some stuff with GCW.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be really cool if he ended up in MLW somehow. They're small, but again, it's another place. So, but I just want him to be happy. But again, selfishly, like if I'm being honest, selfishly, I want to see him in movies.
Mm-hmm.
I do. Like I want to still see him wrestle. Don't get me wrong, but I
Mm-hmm.
want to see him in movies
Mm-hmm.
because I really want to see him cut loose and be able to like go there fully with the character that he's
Mm-hmm.
really invested in. That's what I really want to see, and not have handcuffs shackling him to a table saying we can only let you go so far with this and not
Mm-hmm.
give it full reign. So so yeah, goodness gracious. So Jodie, I guess as we wrap up here, last 10 minutes of the show, um, if let's say that you're sitting in a room full of, not even a room, let's say you're in an auditorium and all of these Windham Rotunda fans are they're listening to your keynote speech and you have to give them a takeaway, like in terms of what's next and the importance of being patient. What would you how would you say that? Because I know a lot of people are like, okay, he wasn't really around for the build up to WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Then he comes back, and then as soon as WrestleMania is done, we get that one fire, just tremendous Firefly Funhouse episode, and then he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're telling me that even though it's 90 days are up, I might have to wait another 6 months just to see this guy, or I might have to wait a year, or all I'm gonna see is the stuff on social media. How would you give advice to people that may be losing patience a little bit, and why it's important to stick by Wyndham during this time?
If you know anything about being a Windham Rotunda fan, he will always make the wait worth it. Always. He always does. It doesn't matter if he's gone for a week, a month, a year. Look at when he left after the after teaming up with Matt Hardy, and he left for what, a year? Then when he came back, what did we get? We got the Fiend. So it doesn't matter how long it is that he's gone for. When he comes back, he will make it worth it. And when he does start to do things and we start to see him more, whether that's TV, movies, videos, interviews, whatever, he will always make it worth it. And then you'll forget how long you waited for.
Because it will have been worth the wait for sure.
Yeah.
C Wrestling says if Bray does movies, imagine he and his team pays for advertising on WWE, and out of nowhere we get a Firefly Funhouse to advertise this movie. Talk about irony and how great that would be.
I think he's got something up his sleeve.
Think he's got something up his sleeve.
I think he's got something up his sleeve. I think he knows the first thing that he wants to do. And I think it's coming. I think a lot of us thought maybe we'd see something on Halloween because it's Halloween. But maybe not. Maybe he's decided to take the rest of the year off, spend some time with his family, and enjoy the holidays. And maybe we'll see something in the beginning of next year. Maybe we'll see something tomorrow. Maybe we'll see something, I don't know. It could be, that's the thing you have to remember. It could literally could be any day.
Damn you, C Wrestling, because I was just about to say, what if it happened on 11/19?
Mm-hmm.
You get something that happens that day.
Mm-hmm.
That would be tremendous.
But I mean, now that 90-day clause is up, it literally could be any day.
Yeah, which is exciting.
Hmm.
Which is great. Big Dan saying maybe he'll do a promo video for the Raiders. That would be awesome.
One of these days, I have a damn Raider shirt in my closet that I had made for him that I still haven't been able to give him.
Got to make that happen.
I know. Well, we're supposed to go to that other meet and greet, and then they canceled it. And, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless he feels like sending me an address where I can send this damn t-shirt to him, he's going to have to wait until some meet and greet or something. Which is sad because it's a nice t-shirt.
I saw the mock-up of it. It is glorious. It is glorious. Jessica Allen saying, I'm not surprised that he did nothing on Halloween because he likes to keep people guessing. And literally everyone was expecting something that day.
Yep.
He likes to keep you on your toes.
He always does, and he always will. I always keep you on your toes.
Exactly. So before we go, any final thoughts, any final things you want to share before we wrap up this evening?
I don't know if my tongue can handle much more talking. It's starting to bother me.
Gotcha. All right, we'll end with this. Jodie, this is from C Wrestling. Get off your butt. Go on a tour of Warner Studios every day for the next month or so, and keep your eyes out in case he's filming. Okay, thank you.
Tazzy would be the one to do that more often than me because he's a lot closer to them than I am. California is a long way away from me.
Yeah, Tazzy, we need you as the investigator.
Yeah, Tazzy's the one in California, not me. I'm in cold, freezing Indiana.
And I'm further away than that. So, all right. Let's see. EJ Movement says, just found out from Scarborough that people were never supposed to show in the fun house. Of course, shaking my head. Well, yeah. Yep. Talking about like Seth and
up
in there.
Yeah.
Very true. And Wyndham adapted.
He did.
He did it in a way that you didn't really. None of us would have really even known that had it not come out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. All right. So I don't know how many people know this, and Jodie, I don't even know if you've seen Twitter to know this, but we're moving our podcast, our weekly wrap-up show, to Sundays.
I did see that.
We're moving that show there because one, we love doing that show. We love all the segments that we do and everything. So, plus it gives us an opportunity to do a couple other things after pay-per-views, and we're starting to see a trend of pay-per-views moving to Saturdays, especially with Impact and WWE. Since that's what we do heavily, we thought it would be a good idea to change it to Sundays. So starting this week, not even taking any time. Starting this Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be here for our weekly wrap-up show covering all things wrestling from the week that was and kind of previewing the next week. So kind of looking forward to the time change. It'll be a lot of fun.
For some reason, I thought that was today, or I thought it was last night, but then my husband said, no, it's next weekend.
We had it last night on Sunday. We had it, so we did our, I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but we were all kind of dressed up or doing something very different to celebrate Halloween. So, but yeah, thank you all for supporting us, and we had one of the biggest turnouts that we've ever had for our weekly wrap up show. So
That's awesome.
So yeah, it was good. So it was a lot of fun. But thank all of you for tuning in. We will be back next week, and tell some friends. We're back at our normal time now, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tell some friends, bring some folks with you. Tell them that even though it's been a while, we're still going to talk about Windham Rotunda, and this is the place.
If you have the ability, spam his inbox and tell him that he needs to come on our show.
Well, that too. That too. All right, folks. So before you leave, if you don't mind, drop a like on this video. Helps us out, helps us get seen. And we're growing. We're closing in on 2,500 subscribers. So pretty neat, honestly. But yeah, thank all of you. Drop a like on this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. And we will see you for the next episode of Abby's Window. But, if you want to come check out Impact with us, we'll be here Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And hopefully Impact gets their together and their stream is working this time. So thank you all. Have a good rest of your evening. Enjoy Raw. And we will talk to you again soon. Take care.
La, 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 la.